no houses left on the market to buy. But why? Why is inventory so low? Low inventory combined with strong demand is raising prices. Wild. Coffee break. That is, you could buy a house. In some places you could buy 2 houses with that much money. Hi, this is Bella. Today I'm going to be talking the housing market, why inventory is so low, and just all the craze in buying and selling in today's market. I'm sure you've heard that the market is crazy, and it's definitely different in different parts of the US. I can speak specifically to Washington, which I'm sure you will find to be applicable for a lot of other places, but the housing market is insane. You put an offer in on a house if you're a buyer, and that house ends up going for like 20 or 30% over list price, which is absolutely insane, especially for the prices in Washington. I live in Kirkland, so that's like the Eastside of Seattle. And the median sold price in the Eastside for this past month was $1,265,000, which is up 28% from last year. So obviously that is a big number to begin with, and where you're from, that might not, that number might be like the super high-end houses and not the medium houses, because where we are, it is a little bit pricier to buy a home. And then you look at another market like Seattle, which a lot of people are, some people are relocating out of Seattle just due to jobs and things like that. And then other people are coming in, which I think we'll see another influx for soon. But as of last month, the median sold price was $798,000 in Seattle, which was up 9% from last year. And even with people leaving the housing, it's still up 9%, which is still wild. So the area that I live in, 65% of homes sold above list price. It is normally, normally some homes do, but you're pretty much at or around list price, or you sit on the market for a while and you go under. And that is just more or less what happens in a more typical market. Also, this past month, which was March, just so everybody is aware, 78% of homes where I'm from have sold in 15 days or less, which is super quick. So normally in a market like this, you're gonna put an offer review date, and that offer review date is, normally depending on if it's a lot or a home and things like that, you're normally looking at like 5 to 7 days, maybe a little bit longer. And so the fact that 78% of homes that have come on just went on their offer review date or really close to is wild, and it shows you just how competitive the market is today. Another thing that's crazy to note is that right now we have 0.4 months of inventory. So I'm sure you've heard this before, like, oh, we only have 0.4 months of inventory. A couple months ago it was super low and we were saying we had 0.5 and 0.6, and it's just been getting lower and lower and lower, and you're like, what does that mean? I have no idea what that number means. Like 0.4, okay, obviously that is a low number in the, in the scale of things, but it is a little bit confusing. So that number represents how long it will take to sell the existing supply. So if no houses were to come on from now to 0.4 of a month from now, so just under 2 weeks, there would be, in theory, no houses left on the market to buy, which is a crazy thought. And so, normally I feel like we were looking at 1.2 months, 1.5 months, and that was like pretty average for a while before COVID, and then things just went a little crazy. And so right now we're looking at 0.4 months, which is incredibly low. And so 0.4 months is the East Side right now, but even Seattle, they're at 0.6 months right now. So everywhere is pretty darn low. So now we've gone over inventory a little bit, kind of what it means to have low inventory and what those numbers look like. But why? Why is inventory so low right now? And what's been causing that? And so one of the main things that we've seen is for the reason of low inventory in 2020 specifically was seller uncertainty. It wasn't necessarily uncertainty that they could sell because, houses inventory was so low and people always need to buy. So they knew they could get their home sold, but it was uncertainty that would come after they sell. And that coupled with COVID, and if it is your primary residence, you don't have anywhere else to stay, you might not want people walking through your house at this time. And then the uncertainty also comes in not only due to COVID, but also due to the lack of inventory. So great, you sell your house for top dollar and you make a lot of money on it, But then what do? Where are you going to move? So due to that demand for housing, homeowners were pretty uncertain as to what to do. I know Nicole and I looked into it, we're like, oh my goodness, if we sold our house, like it's just crazy how much we would have made on it from when we bought it, which was not that long ago at all. We bought it in October of 2019, but at the time it was just around a year and a half, I want to say. We haven't owned it that long in the grand scheme of things. And we were like, wow, this is wild. We could, make a lot of money if we sold a house, and we love our house. But we're like, well, and then we thought about it, and we're like, that sounds great. And we thought about some more, and we were like, oh, like we couldn't afford anything else. Like we couldn't, if we sold our house right now, like we couldn't afford our own house, which is crazy to think. And I think that's where a lot of other people are at as well right now, who are sellers. So some people, can sell and upgrade, or maybe they're looking to downgrade, or they're moving out of state, or they're moving further out of the city so they could still afford something that is equal to or better than their house was in the city, or whatever. And so that is always in play, but the seller uncertainty is definitely the main factor that is causing the low inventory. Then some fun facts. So obviously I know, more about the Seattle and Eastside market and inventory and things like that. Before I got on here to talk to you all, I did a little bit of research on housing inventory in 2020 throughout the United States and what those general statistics look like. Housing inventory declined 39.6% on a national level in 2020. And that made 2020 the lowest housing inventory year on record. And those stats were from Realtor.com. And then adding to that record-breaking low inventory of a year, buyer demand has increased. There was one article that I read that was saying, Zillow was saying that the persistent demand for more homes to come on the market on a national level that we saw in 2020, the word they used to describe it was insatiable. And I think that is pretty relevant to what we're seeing here and what we're seeing in so much of the US. And then so with that, there is housing price increase. And I'm gonna touch on that a little bit later. With the low inventory and the high demand, prices have increased. And not only are they getting bid up higher once offers are coming in, but they're also starting higher than they might have before, especially now that we've seen this trend and we've been living in it for a little bit. So nationally, there was a 13.4% increase in housing prices in 2020, which translates to the national median price to buy a home as $340,000. And that fact was from December of 2020, so still pretty relevant to today. Now, the articles that I was reading and things I've seen for myself in our market is, so we've seen what happened in 2020. What's in store for 2021? There's been record low mortgage rates in 2020, and then there have been spiking up, but going up a little bit recently, but are still really low. And so that was one thing that was spurring buyers along. Another thing are that millennials are looking to buy. And part of that could be due to COVID and just not wanting to live in an apartment anymore or a rental and wanting to be smarter with their money. So the way that housing market handles low inventory combined with strong demand is raising prices. And now that, some millennials and first-time home buyers are looking to buy, this year prices might rise to the point that we are keeping them from buying, depending on their financial status. And a lot of that is due to saving money for a down payment, since your down payment is more than likely going to be more that housing prices have increased. And so normally you're going to put 20% down, but there are a lot of other plans to put less down, which is something you can definitely learn more about with your realtor or lender if you are considering making a purchase on a home. But though people are struggling with coming up with the money to pay for a down payment, savings are actually at historic highs right now, which is crazy to think, but I think that, COVID had to play on that for sure, for those that continue to work, since so many other things in their lives were limited, but they were still working and spending so much less. So for many first-time home buyers, although they don't have home equity in their arsenal, they do have money in the bank for a down payment. And I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but prices are increasing at a crazy rate. So there was a little over a month ago, I think the story is just wild. Coffee break. This is my new favorite mugs I got at the same time I got the little glass that I was drinking champagne out of the other day. My kids have paws. Nicola got one that says dog dad. Super cute. So this story, we were working with a couple different buyers, but 2 buyers specifically. One of which was looking for a nicer home, like 2 million, give or take, bigger home. They didn't really want to make any changes to the home once they bought it, wanted to be able to move in and just be easier in that way. They had a lot of money to put down and were in a really good spot financially, but that's what they were looking to do. But they did, have a level which was like, I don't feel comfortable paying more than this. And then they were like, had a bigger range. So kind of in the more like Eastside area, but then also expanding a little bit into like neighboring areas. So a little further out of the city. And then we're working with another buyer at the same time who was looking to be, a little bit closer into the city, but more of like a lot lower of a price range. So we're talking like 600 to 700,000 and a fixer-upper type of home. So definitely not move-in ready like these guys. And so 2 totally different buyers. They were in, different cities. The houses they put an offering out were about 30 to 40 minutes apart from one another. Both of them were like really strong. They were both waiving contingencies. Waiving of contingencies is something I'll talk about in a different video, kind of what is a contingency and how do you waive them? They were both, waiving their contingencies. They both had a lot of money to put down and were both in a good spot financially to purchase a home. And so they had everything going for them. And the first house, we put an offer in. I think the list price was 1.8 million. We put an offer in at like 2 million. And we could escalate up to, it was like just under 2.1 or something, which is like, you think about that and you're like, oh, that is really high. And it's like, I know, and that's just what's up with the market. And then there was another, so on the offer review date, we had to write that offer for that client, and then we had our other client who wanted to buy the more fixer-upper home, and the offer review date was the same day. So we're like, okay, interesting. We're supposed to hear back from them both, that night. So it was like kind of a, once you put an offer in, it's kind of just like especially in this market, like, okay, what's gonna happen? Like, when are they gonna call me? How high are we gonna have to go up? Like, what's the deal? Are we gonna get it? Or did someone come in just at this astronomical level that no one else is gonna even like be able to somewhat meet? And so this other offer we put in, list price was, I don't even remember anymore, 600 something, 650-ish maybe. We were escalating up to 700, over 700. So both houses, we were waiving contingencies, putting a ton of money down, going way over list price. And the house that was listed at 1.8 that we could go over to like close to 2.1, just under 2.1, that one ended up selling for 2.3. It was something just absolutely insane that was close to 30% over list price. And you're just like, that is what? That is insane. Especially, at that price point, prices are so much higher. And you look at that, $400,000 or whatever difference. It's like, oh my God, that is, you could buy a house. Some places you could buy 2 houses with that much money that you're just bidding up over ask price. So we had that situation, and it just came down to money. I was talking to the other agent and he was like, well, we got this other offer. Your offer is so strong, but they can spend more money. And in the end, oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes that person will win, especially when we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars and not tens of thousands of dollars. And then on our other house, we, put an offer in, and I'm like calling the listing agent. And so on that 2 million, sorry, rewind, on that $2 million house, they got like 15 or 16, 17 offers in. And then on this other house, put our offer in, and normally I like call the listing agent, talk to them, and I'm calling him, and I've talked to him before, and I'm like, hey, the guy like not answering the phone, okay, whatever. And I'm like trying to get in contact with him. I'm like, I'm feeling really bad. Like, he's not talking to me. I have nothing to tell my client because I'm not getting any information. I don't know what to do. And then finally I hear back from him, and it's this mass email, and he's like, yeah, so we got 44 offers, and which is crazy to me. And I know I've heard some horror stories of other houses getting just exponentially more, but 44 offers on a house. Wow. And a fixer at that. We had to like walk through the house with, well, I carry a purse flashlight, and we're like walking through, and it was like hard to even schedule a time to show the house due to the craze of people wanting to see, which again is old news, and I'm sure you all have heard that by now. But that house got like 44 offers, ended up going for like $850,000 or something, which again, it just came down to price. And I was like, this is what they got, how much are you willing to spend? And they're both just like, not that, we're not willing to spend that much. And I was like, yeah, I completely agree. So luckily they were able to find homes, everything was okay. Just hearing stories like that and just how much homes are going over list price, and that it's not just a certain price point. I know before people were thinking like there's a couple neighborhoods that were a little hotter than others at certain price points, close to $1 million, under $1 million. And we're like, those are hot homes, we're going so fast. It's like, yeah, they are, but same with these, homes that are much more expensive. Those are going super fast as well. The market is just doing crazy things, and low inventory is so much of that. And so right now we are seeing more homes come on the market, which is fabulous, but they're getting just taken up so fast. It's still so competitive. And you go in, you find a house that was just listed, you're like, oh, fabulous, I'm gonna book an appointment to go see this. And there's already showing times booked up for like 2 days or something. And you're like, that is crazy. And we're seeing that in, Seattle, in the greater Seattle area. People are seeing it in other states throughout the US. I'm hearing part of like all these like groups of other realtors, like, it is absolutely wild. And that is just due to the low inventory and the seller uncertainty and COVID and people wanting to relocate, people not wanting others in their house due to fear, and so many other things, which is what is causing that lack of inventory, increase of buyer demand, and therefore increasing housing prices. So I'm interested, just like everybody else, to see what is going to happen in the coming months. I keep hearing rumors of more inventory and things like that, which is, I'm working with some buyers right now, so obviously that is something I like to hear, because I want to be able to get them into their home that's perfect for them at a price that isn't astronomical. We're gonna see where the market takes us. I'm lucky to work for a company that has an economist, not ecologist. I'm lucky to work for a company that has an economist, Matthew Gardner, who shares his thoughts on the market, and so he does our area and a couple other areas. His predictions are absolutely phenomenal, so I'm able to educate myself in that way. So I'll include a link to his 2021 forecast below, which I think is super important. And if you go on his website, you'll find more phenomenal resources. That is a little bit into inventory and kind of what's going on in Seattle, in the Eastside, in the United States as a whole with the housing market. So if you're looking to buy, it can be done. Trust me, I've gotten buyers into homes recently, and it's when you find the right home and you have the right negotiations, you're waiving enough things, you have enough money down, and there's programs if you don't have money down to make it seem like you're putting more down. There's a lot of things that can be done. And so that is super, super important. But if you're looking to buy, not all hope is lost. There is still opportunity for that. And if you're looking to sell and you have a game plan as to what to do next, whether you're wanting to rent for a little bit, whether you're wanting to buy, relocate, downsize, whatever it is, now is a fabulous time, and you will get top dollar for your home if this is something you're looking to do now. But I'm looking forward to sharing some more stats with you on the market in coming videos and different terms in real estate, whether you're a first-time home buyer or a seasoned home buyer, but there's things that you still have questions on, or a seller. I am super excited to share that knowledge with you all, as it's something that excites me to talk about and I love sharing with people. So stay tuned for those. Like and subscribe below if you're interested in those, or if you found any value in this video. And if you're looking to buy or sell, I wish you the best of luck. I will see you next time.